Greetings RC fans, Sharky here and welcome back to Sharky's Garage. Now today we're back to one of my occasional series of podcasts and we'll get into the crux of it in a little while. If you haven't seen my other two podcasts, they're linked in the end card into the playlist, and this will grow over a period of time. It's where I go out and I talk to people within the RC industry within the UK and we learn a bit about them. And today I'm out talking to Gareth Curtis of Gcrc, and we'll get into that in a second. If you haven't already liked, commented, subscribed, then please do that, and don't forget to stick the notification bell on, and remember to check if you think you're subscribed, because YouTube does occasionally unsubscribe people. So we'll get into the meat of the matter. This is described as a podcast. It's designed so that you can be doing other things, so the visuals are perhaps less impressive than at other times, but there is an awful lot for you to see today, as you will see, and you may watch this through a few times. I know some people have watched my 51-minute podcast with Sean Baker of the BERCC multiple times. So anyway, let's get down to it. So, who are you and what do you do?
So, Gareth Curtis. Gareth Curtis RC is what we're here to talk about today. Is something I prefer to be called Gcrc, actually, just because it's the way it rolls off the tongue. But Gareth Curtis RC is where it come about, and it's built on my passion for crawling that started only at the beginning of lockdown.
Only at the beginning of lockdown, so it's not been a long journey that's got you to this point, and it seems to have been a bit of a heck of a journey, to be totally honest with you. So how did you get started?
So I'm mid-50s, going back to childhood in Stoke-on-Trent. I was in the Boys Brigade. Friday night was parade night and Tuesday night was club night.
Yeah.
So what would it be? 1978, somewhere around there. And somebody rocked up to club night with a Tamiya RC, and this was cutting edge technology. This thing was...
I did see you've still got a Tamiya down there.
I'll come on to that, yeah. And it was just, this is amazing. All we'd seen were remote controls. They had the cable. That's what we had as kids. It was a cabled car, and it was just something else. And there was actually like a Radio Shack on the high street that was just coming into technology.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really wanted one. I was certainly looked after by my parents, but it was still something that was out of reach. It was a massive investment to have a Tamiya then.
Yeah, I must admit, I was pretty similar. That I wanted a Tamiya Grasshopper, and I didn't get one because my dad had gone to the local hobby shop and he'd spoken to them, and he had built me a Mardave Apache.
Funny you should say Mardave, because it will come on to that as well. So we had a local model shop, and let's remember they'd have been a Tamiya dealer, but it would have been all static models.
Yeah.
This RC thing was new, and they had the Mardaves from close by Leicester on the shelf, which were, less money and less complex. And they had the Tamiyas, and we're talking about Rough Riders, Sand Scorchers, XR, whatever, 313s or whatever, the military vehicles, were all just coming out around then.
Yeah.
And pan cars. So one of the people there that ran the Boys Brigade built a pan car, but not a Tamiya one, just built it out of a sheet of fiberglass and strapped a servo to it. It was direct power, there was no suspension, it was just flexing the chassis. That's the way it was. And after a few months, it came to Christmas, and top of my Christmas list, I want a radio controlled car. So I had Electric Car, which was another Leicestershire company making stock cars, very similar.
They're like Camtech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was basically 4 pieces of aluminium, a bumper, and 2 side plates, with an ABS Camtech-like shell on it, and your old manual speed controllers.
Yeah.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And of course, you got your 8-9 minutes of run time after you'd waited 20 minutes to charge up off a car battery that my father had built a carrying handle for, so you could carry around a car battery with you.
Yeah. So that's sort of how you got started in the hobby. And then obviously you say that GCRC didn't get started until kind of last year or 2020 with the lockdown.
My ventures into RC, that didn't have another RC, there was that, which are literally run into the ground. I remember the foam tyres weren't foam tyres anymore, it was literally running on glue.
Yeah.
By the time, I got bored and moved away from that.
Yeah.
So next time is finding myself with more spare time as the kids were getting older many years later, and I wanted to build a kit because I'd never built anything myself, and I built a Kyosho 1/8 scale rally car with a nitro engine,
right?
Which absolutely loved the building experience, but basically I had nowhere to run it.
So before we started filming this, you were sort of talking about your school experience and what you were looking to do, and obviously that kind of feeds in a little bit into the building and the engineering side of things, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, so very poor English. I was top class maths, bottom class English. I was really hard to put through education because they didn't know where to put me. I had a very good education, but it was engineering drawing that I really liked.
Cool.
That was my subject. I couldn't wait to be in that classroom. I would just draw extra stuff and imagine stuff in isometric. And my mother was a bit of a artist. She'd been to night school for art, and I'd won art competitions with the school. But I just suddenly started seeing in isometric. Everything had to be sliced and diced on a piece of paper, and it killed my art dead. I wasn't interested. Yeah. Perspective was gone. Everything was isometric. It was going to be an engineering drawing, and that's the way I saw life.
Yeah.
And it's like that now. Is if I'm driving from A to B, I'm not driving what I see. I'm driving from a map from above.
Yeah.
So long before sat navs, that's how I saw the world. And that's how I'd manage it. I'm going in this direction, I'm doing this turn. It's just the way my mind works. So I came out of school, or there wasn't really the opportunities. It was deep Thatcherite period, unemployment everywhere. So I stayed on. I did sixth form, did engineering drawing, and at this time moved down to Cornwall from Staffordshire. My parents moved down there. And finished off those subjects and found here I was, fabulous at what I do on a drawing board, only to find it all gone CAD. So I'd finished my education and it was particularly useless to everybody. I needed something to make the jump. Looked at going to university, but with my English level and let's be fair, my maturity level at that time, I just wasn't ready for it. So I joined Sainsbury's.
Okay.
I started off counting money as a trainee office manager, and after a 20-year career, I was middle management within Sainsbury's, running their new stores and refit programs.
Okay, so moving more into sort of project management,
which is my
crisis management type role. And that's what you've sort of continued to do, but not within there.
I loved it. It used to, when we were refitting a Sainsbury's, it would be 7 to 9 days, non-stop, living the job.
Yeah.
It'd be, we'd close it, take a full shop to an empty shop in a marquee outside, re-merchandise it, knock it about, rebuild all the shelves, stock it all up to perfect, to reopen it in 7 days.
Wow.
And we were a team of guys doing that, and each job, one of us would be in charge of it, but the others had been in charge of other jobs.
Yeah.
So they knew what I was thinking, what I was doing. So on my job, I'd be steering the ship, but they'd be running teams. And we'd be 300 people doing that.
Yeah.
So I'd be one person coordinating 300 people.
Yeah.
But wow, it was a real buzz.
Yeah. So then you've moved on to other jobs and stuff like that.
Only 2 jobs in my life.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So Sainsbury's and then on to what you're doing
Mace
now.
Group I work for now.
Okay, cool.
So I'm an associate director, project management director.
Cool.
For Mace. They built the Shard, they lifted the London Eye when other companies couldn't. Basically they take on the impossible and make it possible and charge accordingly.
Which, you know, means that you have a good home. You have a lovely home here, which is where we are today. And kind of then you got back into the RC hobby.
So yeah, busy, stressful job, full on, ridiculous hours, but rewarded me with not being bothered at weekends.
Yeah.
So in the retail environment, albeit refits, it was shift work and weekends. Yeah. Whereas the project management, pretty much the phone doesn't ring at weekends. It never stops, Monday to Friday, they own me, but at weekends not at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me the work-life balance I wanted. I'd work away and then be home and do things. And then lockdown came and it changed us all. And
so what was the first rig you bought during lockdown then?
So for those not watching it, this is a DTO3, I think, a Tamiya 2-wheel drive, and I needed to get the 2-wheel drive bug out my system. Well, the Tamiya bug out my system. I'd never built one, always wanted one.
Yeah. And
thought 100 quid for a kit was less now than they were back then.
Mm-hmm.
And there was all kinds of deals going around because people were worried what lockdown was going to be. And I think I got a kit and the radio gear and all that for 150 quid, something like that. And the whole price had gone up. Might have been nearer 100. And just absolutely loved the process.
Yeah.
And my wife said, right, you need to join a club. And I said, I really fancy carpet racing, which there is a club now that I'm aware of. I wasn't at the time. Things have moved on and it's not actually floating my boat because I went along. But that's what I wanted to do. So looked around and couldn't find any clubs.
Mm-hmm.
The club that's doing actually is in Daventry, really good, worth having a look. Not my thing, but yeah, excellently run. But I did enjoy the build experience, so I thought, I'll have another one of those. So I built a 4-wheel drive one. That's a DTO3, this is a TTO2B, I think.
More my colour.
Yeah.
Not quite electric blue, but getting there.
And with stock colours on, and I was sticking to the manual. And we were in lockdown, and I had an apprentice. My wife sat next to me, and
so she's in the hobby as well, which is really cool.
Yeah. So at this stage, we were both at home, and my wife was going through a cancer scare at the time, full remission now. Brilliant.
Great news.
So though she was a nurse and all hell was breaking loose in the hospitals, she was actually off work post-op. So she'd sit next to me and she'd audit me basically, and she'd prepare all the screws and lay everything out, and then I'd build a diff, and then I'd get out all the screws and she'd build a diff.
Cool. A real sort of bonding family experience.
Yeah, and she'd say herself she didn't understand what she was doing, what the bit was she was building, because she didn't get the full picture.
Yeah.
But we were happy to have the time together, and that's what we were doing, and we were checking each other and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And we'd run these up at the local field at the top of our street.
Cool.
So Gina had the 4-wheel drive, I had the 2-wheel drive, and that's what we're doing. So I thought, lockdown carried on. I need something that's a bigger challenge. They were just too easy to build.
Right.
So Gina bought me the CR01 Tamiya Rockhopper. No, I mean Rockshocker.
Right.
Which is their 13-year-old rock crawling platform.
Right.
But it's unlike any other Tamiya. It's all nut and bolt and thread lock, and so it's not your normal.
So it's a proper build.
Yeah, it's not your JS jizz screw or whatever into plastic. It's pretty much all metal, and
because it's such an older design.
And just that's what it is. It's like it's got more similarity to the monster trucks with the large frame sides to the big crawl we know today.
Yeah.
In fact, it has shocks separated from cantilever suspension. I'd show you, but it had to go because the wife said it had too many rigs and had to let something go.
Oh, right. Is that kind of how we started to get to where we are today?
So, yeah, built it all stock, loved it. And I thought, the wife says, look, you're going to fill the house if you just keep building these. You've got to get out and use them and find something. So I started searching on the internet and found Misfits out of Northampton as a club.
Yeah.
And
the RC Misfits, you may have noticed that there's been a few videos I've been out with them and done some trail videos and stuff, which is how I kind of first met Gareth.
Yeah. And it's a very apt title. We're from all walks of life with a common interest, and they are just a great bunch of lads. And
lasses.
Indeed. They take Gina on board like mother hen. They show me places, taught me how to drive, taught me about products, but just in the chat while you were enjoying the call. And this CR01 amazed me. I'd put G-made tyres on it because one of the guy at the club said, you know, that'll hold its own, but just upgrade the tyres. And I did that, and it was doing fantastic. I was really surprised. So attended with them and just got the bug, and then back to the missus, what to build something else. I was allowed. I've got a good job. I can afford these things.
And also because you'd actually been out and using it, and she'd seen the enthusiasm that you'd come back with, having been out to do it, supporting you in that. And
Gina, my wife, was really pleased that I was out socialising people because I lived my job and had done for many years. She was really happy for me to have an outside interest that wasn't just something we did.
Yeah.
Something I did. So I said, she goes, but you can only have one more. Look behind me. Yeah. So the new car at the time was the SCX 10-3.
Right.
Which has its problems, but this was new out. I saw this as this was going to be the pinnacle of RC cars. And it had to be a kit because I like the build experience.
Mm-hmm.
And built that, and as a young lad, pastel colours were always in.
Right.
And I always dreamt of, and I'd seen it in a magazine, somebody had built a Golf Mark II with a VR6 engine dropped in it from the Mark III.
Yeah.
And it was in lilac.
Yes.
Yeah. And this was the car in my head, and I'd sort of said, do you know what?
That was either in Volksworld.
Yeah.
Or it was in Revs. Because I remember, you speak of that, and I remember that, because although I'm slightly younger than you, you know, it kind of, yeah, I remember seeing that.
And that car really made a point on me. And obviously, I lived through the 80s. The 80s is the only music scene. Yeah. And I wanted a pastel colour on it, so I chose Core RC Mint Green.
You see he's got a few rigs over there. We'll talk about those in a bit.
Yeah. So it was basically the same body shell as the SCX6 on the end, and built this up in mint green. And I wanted, well, I was under pain of death that this would be the last RC that I'd be able to have.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to spend on it. I'm going to have, so it had a Reefs 777 in that I ordered from America. It had 99 micros, bought them, you know, full retail from A-Main and had them shipped in and put those in the kit. The axe system had not long been out, so what was the biggest axe at the time? It was the 3300 wasn't out, I think it was a 2800. I tell you, it's in the class 2 now, but put the axe system in it, and built this all out, took it out and just kept destroying portal gears because they were sintered, and I didn't know anything about FOC and how that worked, about building up the power.
Yeah.
And I would lock it up. I got this massively powerful servo, a massively powerful motor.
Yeah.
Going through sintered gears, and we're just tearing through gears and popping drive shafts.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn quick what needed and working on rigs. Just as a basher bashes an RTR, someone learns how to rebuild their model, even though they didn't build it, because you have to repair it.
Yeah. So you started spending on stuff, you started spending on that rig. Was it at that point that Gina said, hang on a minute?
Well, she certainly didn't know what I spent on it. She knows what they cost now.
Yeah.
But for her, she'd seen the price of Tamiyas and just thought, a servo's a servo.
Yeah.
Which we know there's very varying prices, and a rig's a rig.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, was really enjoying it. And Gina said, well, I like coming out and I've liked driving yours. I'd like to take out the CR01 Rock Shocker. And I thought, well, I need to make it her own then. So I'd got the 10.3 Jeep.
Yeah.
So I bought a Proline body for that one and an interior.
Yeah.
And said, what colour do you want? So that shiny orange there on the Beetle, that's Gina's class 2. That's her colour.
Which is how we've got Minty and Tango.
Yeah, so Minty was named by Dan in Misfits, and he also, when Gina rocked up with this CR01 with that orange body on it, christened that Tango.
Yeah.
And you can, right, I'm going to hold it over. That's basically our two colours.
Yeah.
And then as things have progressed, you'll see that I've stayed with the mint theme with my colours, but it has an orange on it. And I know it's not Gina's orange, but the metallic didn't work. So that's a nod to my wife in the GCRC colours. Cool.
We're at 22 minutes at the minute. I'm going to pull this up to a certain point, and then we'll pause for a second and get a coffee and then come back to it. So you started that, Gina's coming out with you, going into the Misfits, you've been in lockdown, you've been, because you know you're not flying here, there and everywhere for work and stuff like that, you'd been, up until this point you were telling me you'd been paying extra off the mortgage, but then paying extra off to get it all cleared and all the rest of it.
Yeah, so Minty, me 10.3, Vitavon all over it, which I rate, solid stuff, and there was one more rig, there's always one more rig, and I bought an RTR second hand, this doesn't resemble it at all, off a mate, and wanted to upgrade that to the hilt.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the gentleman that used to sell them, but it was like a Facebook type sale that was selling Vitavon. It's now Ziet Appliance Electronics. So I contacted this guy and said, I'd like Capra axles, please. Oh, sorry, Vitavon don't do them. I thought, that's odd. So I did some research and found out that actually Vitavon do make Capra axles, but they make them under license for Super Shafty.
Right.
Yeah, and Super Shafty is very secretive about this, but sort of it's now common knowledge because a lot of people have outed it, but was selling them almost as American made.
Yeah.
It's his design, except all that it's quite, not quite different, but a modification from standard with some improvements to get increased turning circle.
Yeah.
But he sell those so that actually Vitavon weren't allowed to make them for themselves.
Right.
So, well, I still want them. What am I going to do? So I started searching round and found Trial. There's a Capra axle. So said, well, why would I order just a front and rear of them? There's got to be other people that want them if you can't get them.
Yeah.
I'll order 6 and sell them. Yeah. Well, if I'm going to sell them, why don't I try and get a dealer rate? I had no wish to become a dealer. All I was wanting was a front and rear axle and to cover my costs.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to get told off for spending and spending and spending. So I just
and you could justify to Gina that well, actually, because I'm making a little bit on the ones that I'm selling, it means that it's covering the ones that I'm having for myself.
The idea was that I'd order enough that I could wipe its face.
Yeah.
So applied to be the Trial dealer, and well, what's your shop, what's your business? Well, I haven't got one, and we went into debate. I'm now in the fortunate position that there's only me that they supply in the UK, so
you're the sole UK distributor for Trial?
Yeah, importer distributor.
Importer distributor, and so that's Gcrc. Okay, we're going to pause the video here, we're going to get a coffee, and then we're going to come back to it. Starting at this end, we've got some axles, starting with the smallest ones.
SCX24 going through Capra 10.2, 10.3 straight. We've got what we've got there. We've got a Capra one, and then we go up to an RBX10 Rift, and then an SCX6 at the back.
So all of those that you carry in stock.
So yeah, if it's an axle for a axle product, it's definitely covered.
Cool.
And there's others besides, like TRX. But I've always said for a TRX4, you're probably better going to Appliance Electronics. It's good value there for that.
Okay. So talking about servos then.
So you've got 2 rows there. One's servos, one's winches. So you've got your micro servo that could be an SCX24 steering servo.
Yeah.
I have to let the dog out.
That's right. Yeah, a 624 steering servo.
Then you've got an ultra fast low profile servo.
Yeah.
Then you've got your bread and butter 444, which is fast with good weight, or you've got your 555, which is strong weight but slow for really heavy rigs.
Yeah.
You do all programmable raw 500, ultra fast 0.06 of a second, and strong.
Yeah.
777, your direct powered 3S servo, very strong, very fast, and then you're into your beasts, which are your 1/5 servos.
Beast 1000 and Beast 2000. Then the second row, starting at the top, these are your winches, yeah?
Yeah, so 800 ounce inch internal line, then a 422 ounce inch external spool, going down to a low profile one, which is the real sort of sweet spot for a LCG rig. And then actually there's a 99 micro winch, which is really nice because you can fit it in where you can't fit others.
Cool. And then you've got the spool kit, the Shield multi-tool, and the Reef's USB link. Tell me a second about this bit here, Gareth, because we were talking about that off the camera.
So, yeah, it's like Trial used to be a seller, they're a Chinese company as everybody knows, but there used to be a seller of low quality parts. Yep. This isn't theirs, it's an example that came off somebody's rig of portal covers for a Capra, but the brass can be stamped, it's got a high alloy content, there's not actually much weight in it, they don't need to do much machining, they can knock it out quickly. Yep. This is what you typically find on eBay, so 2 of those, 95 grams.
Okay.
Yeah. So, trio ones, much better quality brass, blackened as well, so they look nicer. They're also bigger, so they get more weight that way because they've looked at the design and said, how can we maximise the space?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're 93 grams each, so yeah, with the
204 with the packaging. Cool.
But yeah, you're talking about double the weight for what fits in the same space.
Yeah.
And it's just poor quality. That's what.
And then it means you can run those, and then you run your carbon fibre wheels, so you don't necessarily, you're not affecting your rotational weight, but you are getting your low down weight.
Yeah, and it's the same way with your axles. They're not pot metal. They are. That is cut. Other than the cover, is cut out of one solid piece of 70-75.
Yeah.
That costs the £198 it does because it's come out of a solid piece of
the machine.
Premium aluminium.
Yeah, cool. Right, so what else we got down in here? We've got your 2 different versions of your connectors.
Yeah, so links and skids, so and more winches. So these are 4S capable winches with a separate controller.
Cool. And skids, and then onto the wheels.
So it's a very small selection of the wheels we do, but wheels are very popular. So these are trio wheels, so 2.2s. This is the new range. I put out blue because I know you love a bit of blue.
Yeah, I do. I must admit, I've been very close. I need a set of 1.9 beadlocks at some point, and I will pull the trigger on a set of those at some point. But at the moment, I'm running 2.2s on most of my big rigs, and I just picked up a set of 1.5s. But Trio don't do 1.5s, so. But yeah, they're really nice, those blues.
Yeah, not expensive. £45 for a set of wheels.
Yeah.
That, you know, are proper beadlocks.
Yeah.
And then going up to just shy of £100 a set for 2.2s, for not for 2, for 4.
For 4, yeah.
Yeah. Your mid-range here, so these have been very popular, which your old style, these still have an aluminium ring. Then these styles, and they come in all different colours, actually have scale hardware and iron rings, so they're much heavier.
Yeah, excellent.
And must have, yeah, the wife ones, and she's got orange rings on hers. Oh, and they're absolutely filthy.
So cool. So this is just a sample of some of the stuff that you've got in stock. There's a lot more on that. Obviously on the Gcrc Family page, you've got that there, and there were links there as well where you can find your listings on eBay as necessary from there.
So find us at events, come, touch the stuff, pick it up, feel it, know the quality. Yeah, talk to the team drivers, say what you're looking for, and we'll give you advice. And as we've always said, if the advice is something we don't sell from a competitor, and that's the best advice, that's the advice we'll give.
Cool. And also you were saying that if they find you at events, you find that things are slightly cheaper than from the eBay page because eBay has fees and you basically discount people the fees because you're not having to pay those.
Absolutely.
Cool. Excellent. Thanks very much. Welcome back after the break. Hopefully you've grabbed a cup of coffee or whatever, or paused the video or anything there. Before that, we were talking about how Gareth made his first orders with Trio and how he basically was ordering enough so that it was covering the costs of his bits for his own rigs.
Yeah, so that was it. It was wiping its face in the idea that I would bring in some Trio products and sell them, and it would, you know, cover my addiction for building these RC cars, and Gina wouldn't get upset.
So initially you were selling that just, you know, to mates within the Misfits and stuff like that, and then you started an eBay shop to sell
Well,
stuff?
I'm not even at an eBay shop yet. It was just listings.
Right.
So I started listing the trail stuff, and that was just growing a name for itself. And what I wanted to do is sort of, like I say, it was giving something back, or addressing the same kind of problems I had, in the fact that people want stuff and they want it now. They broke something, I need it.
Yeah.
So if I was going to do this eBay thing, I wanted to make concerted effort that I was going to get in the post that day first class, if I possibly could. If not, it'd definitely be the next day.
Yeah.
And it'd be about the things that were difficult to get, because you can order from Trill yourself, but your free postage will take 4 to 5 weeks, and all the problems with that, it's been even worse, and come and you'll be paying your import tax. Whereas for me, they know, yeah, that's what I'm getting, I'm going to get it in 2 days, that's what it costs.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm thinking, well, what else could I sell that I need that people... So I was looking at the American brands, like your Reefs, your D-Links, your Vader, your Precision RC products, and I said I'd love to stock things like that. So I talked to RC Addicts, who has the brands D-Links, Vader and Precision RC, and what started that was Capra again. I wanted the Vader flat bottom skid.
Yeah.
I'd been using them, so why not sell them?
Sell parts that you know that work.
Yeah.
And
so I
get some to pay for your project, so that it's not costing you.
And again, RC Addicts will sell to the UK direct, but I'm on about people want it the next day because it's broken or repaired or upgrade. So basically, I import it and sell it. And that's how I need to pick this one up. The Punk's Custom 3D wheels came about.
Yeah.
Because I was watching Exo Caged, another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And they were those wheels, and I thought I'd like some of those, and that's where the things came about. Is what would I like? And it's high-end stuff. I appreciate that. It's not in everybody's budget, but I also, like I said, I've got a good paid job. I don't want the hassle. I want to sell things that speak for themselves, quality, that aren't going to break.
Yeah, and that gets onto part of the mentality that we were talking about that you have, which is that you're not doing this to make a profit. You're doing this to kind of break even. So
ultimately, I will want this to be for retirement. And in no way am I going to say that I'm not making a profit out of items. Items are sold at a profit, but I am netting it off. So how that used to be netted off was building expensive rigs. You can build a rig and spend a couple of grand on it.
Yeah, because looking at here, when you look at what we've got behind you, and that rig over there that has featured quite heavily on Tom Lee RC's channel, but there are several £1,000s worth of rigs there that and that's just at standard cost before you start putting all of the lovely Trial upgrades on them, all of the lovely Reefs RC gear on them, before you put in the wheels on them, before you put in all of those bits and pieces. So yeah, so that was how you were netting it off until you got to a certain point.
Yeah. I knew Sean Baker at BRCC.
Yeah.
I'd been going to events, so it was, well, make it more a shop. So I want to go and attend these events and talk about things, because this is when I'd taken on Reefs, and people would say to me, why would I buy a Reef servo? That's a very expensive piece of kit, and you can understand that. Why would somebody want to pay £140 for a servo when you can get a waterproof 7.4 volt one for £20?
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, if you've got the money, this is the difference. And when you can demonstrate the speed and power of something, and its anti-stall facilities and its submarine waterproofness and the bearings and all that, people that can afford that may want to go that way. I did, which is why I sell them, because I wanted to use them. And so I bought myself a marquee, and in Sharky reefs I had to have a brand. So that's how the Gcrc came about.
Yeah.
Because Reef asked me what was my company name, and I went, it's Gcrc. I made it up on the spot.
Yeah.
Because that's why it's just a simple Gareth Curtis radio control, because that's what I could think up on the spot. And then I had to go off and design a logo.
Which is a really pretty cool logo and looks really good on the t-shirts and
on the wheels. Yeah.
And
so the idea is that it's like a wheel.
Yeah.
And the initials Gcrc, and that arrow is the motion we're going somewhere.
And obviously the colours with the green and with the orange is the colours of yours and Gina's colours from your rigs. Absolutely. And feeding into that to show that it's a family business.
Yeah, well, that's where it's all evolved. And Gina's not a partner in this. We call her, she's the manager. So I might be the team manager, according to the team, but she's the team manager's manager, we call her.
Yeah.
And
she's the big boss.
I'm her pit crew.
Yeah.
And she's what keeps me grounded, because it's like, Gina, I want to stock reefs. I need to take a, extension on the mortgage on the house to be able to stock it. We can't do that, but over time we spoke to Reefs and talked about it, and he now sells me by unit rather than by case, that can allow me to bring them to the UK.
Excellent. And which means that you're holding UK stock and can get them out to people so quickly.
And, Reefs is a person, Punk's wheels, I talked to Brian that makes these wheels, these are all relationships, as it's the same with RC Addicts and some other products that come in our way.
Right.
So we've just taken on our RC Customs, who's a fabulous gentleman called Reese. He bought a 777 off me, and he was making carbon cross members. Rigs, and we're now going to be stocking those. An engineer by trade, and one of my team drivers has been talking to him, tried the parts. These are amazing.
So
these are people, they're not products.
Yeah, and it's just looking at the chronology here. So obviously lockdown, you started building that, you started buying a few bits to cover that, selling them on eBay listings, going out. So you took the shop to was it Southern Scales Trail or?
So the first one we went to was Funduro, and it basically rained on me for an entire weekend, and the stock was sodden. Every label was minging, because it had a marquee with no sides on. And, but I tried to do things professionally, so I'd had an orange marquee, the colour, and branded sides on it, and
a wonderful orange marquee that is the bright sunlight casts a really interesting glow through the roof. And
blue wheels look green, and it was and I've bought other ones since, but this was part of my, if I'm doing it right, and because I've made money, I can buy a marquee.
So this is how you were reinvesting the profits that you were making on selling things back into building that and providing a service by taking the parts to people and in case they're broken while they were there. And
I started this with £2,000 I'd lent to myself. I've not ever paid myself back, so it still owes me, and I still probably loan it money here, there, and everywhere, because things aren't cheap, and you have to carry stock.
So you did that first event. You got them the tent with the sides. You did a second event and then did the team come after that, or was the team between those two events? The team idea, the sponsoring the team and having sponsors.
So it was more a case of, I look upon Misfits as a family of people that I went out with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that philosophy that, I mean, I said to you earlier, it's being mentioned around at the moment because of the new Kyosho truck that's come out. But it's that Fast and Furious quote of, I don't have friends, I have family.
Yeah.
And that's what they were like for me. I've not really had friends. I've just dedicated myself to work. So yeah, they could become my family. And also I'd find that actually I could pop down to Burke and I'd just be talking to Sean there. And we'd have these grand ideas and we'd trail and chat and I said, what you need in that is a raw 500. So we, he added it cost and put it in his rig, and he talked to people, and I saw the power of a friend and an ambassador of somebody that was in a club like that, and the idea of a team driver appealed to me.
Yeah, so Sean Baker was your first team driver.
Yeah.
You've now brought a second team driver on board since then?
Yeah, so that year we did Funduro, this is last year, Funduro, we went to SST, and SST, I thought, this is serious. So I'd ordered £7,000 worth of stock to add to what stock I'd got already there from Trial.
Yeah.
And UPS lost it. So,
no.
So I turned up there, I got nothing like the amount of stock I wanted.
Yeah.
Funduro, I'd sold wheel after wheel. It was all about wheels at Funduro. And got there and I hadn't got the stock. So I got the big marquee, I got the table, and I'd got enough stock and but it was more about
your comfort level.
Yeah, felt embarrassed, but was able to spend time talking to people, developing the brand and talking, and it was great. I really enjoyed the weekend. Who wouldn't? It's a fabulous place.
Yeah, I get to go next year because at the Lenny Hogston Memorial in the raffle, I won free tickets to go to Fundura next year as a raffle prize. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So Sean is running the competition that was being run at SST, King of the Hammers.
Right.
King of the Mallets, Shepton Mallet, as opposed to King of the Hammers.
Yeah.
So there's the play on words. So he run that event, and Tim, that I knew, because when you buy things from me through Facebook rather than this was just me Facebook, where we're going with the family. I saw it as a journey and a consultation, and there'll be loads of people that I've told is that I've not refused to sell them something, but I've said, no, you don't want that. Yeah, that's too much weight, or it's too much servo, or it's the wrong thing. Yeah, that's not what we
actually
want to do.
You might be better off trying this cheaper option first. If you then build another rig and that.
Yeah, don't load it up with weight, add it gradually. Yeah, I'll sell you all the parts, but go this route and then know when to stop. Or for that rig, this is better, which might not be something I sold at all. And I've always had that philosophy. And Tim was building a Capra, and he put on the Delrin links, he put on not these wheels, but other Trio wheels, he put on the axle parts and all of that. Yeah. And it was a real two-way thing, and he was giving me some feedback that actually the full Delrin set, for all the weight I was running, I'm getting too much flex, hence why we came with part this. So he was helping with range development and feedback. Yeah. So somebody I knew, he rocks up at SST and wins the whole event.
Wow.
Yeah, with this Capra that's got all my stuff on it. And I thought, I want a team. I don't think I'm ready for a team. I've already said I've got a team driver, but let's face it, Sean had become a mate.
Yeah. Yeah, he's supposed to be turning up here at some point, but he wasn't too well yesterday.
Yeah. So I thought about, this man is keen as mustard, a top bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knows rigs, can drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And several years my junior, so appealed or can pitch, like certainly
Can be a poster boy.
Yeah, and certainly understands social media better than I do. Yeah, because I'm the Facebook generation and he's the Insta generation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, signed you up, and unlike other team drivers, I want to make that more inclusive.
So you kind of got Sean on board, you got the thing on board, and then because it's always for you been a family mentality, you started the Gcrc Family Facebook group, which has kind of exploded.
Yeah, I still see it in its infancy. I think it's got lots of potential. So, yeah, finishing off with the team drivers, I'd like to think that I give them more support than you would normally get.
Yeah.
So, and likewise, they give me loads in return.
Yeah.
So it's not about having my products, building a rig, advertising it. That's not what a team driver for GCRC is. It's about mucking in. Tim found new brands and has got himself separate sponsorship. Sean is sponsored by G-Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's very, very much a fan of the G-Speeds.
Yeah, and now Tim is now sponsored with Pink Bits, which is an Australian chassis producer, and he'll be bringing those over here, and hopefully that might be something GCRC pick up, because that fits the model of things that are hard to get that are fantastic.
Yeah,
that we can sell here. Tim bought in what I mentioned before, the RC custom bits with the chassis parts. Sean brings with him all his competition experience.
Yeah.
So the two of us are there together. I've got two team drivers, and after SST, we'd arranged to go to Shildon.
Yeah. RC Adventure Shildon.
Yeah. So fabulous group of guys. I met them at Funduro. Yeah. I won't embarrass him by saying his name, but one of the guys there challenged me, why would I ever want a Reefs Raw 500? Why would I ever pay that amount of money? And I did my sales spiel and explained it. And then he went home with two of them. Yeah. And he took it back to his club and was just dominating. Yeah. And suddenly I found myself sending loads of reefs to that postcode. Yeah. And that area. And we went up there, and like Funduro was all about wheels, going to Shildon was all about reefs last year. Yeah. And I just sold loads to the club because they saw the power in having strong steering servos. Yeah. Yeah. And we'll go over the parts you carry in a separate part of this in a minute. Yeah, but I just wanted to say that it was like they were super welcoming, and they done for us. They did a pop-up little comp. Cool. And because they done it for us, we could compete in it. Now I was busy running the shop, but Tim and Sean ran in it, and they came joint first. Right. But I thought that's the best result, best thing that could possibly happen. It says my two team drivers have gone somewhere, they've run a competition, they come joint first. But they couldn't leave it that way. They had to fight it out. So
yeah, I can understand that for sure.
So Sean got his 6x6, and Tim got out his Capra, and they fought it out. And I'm not going to say who won. That's for their braggy rights alone. But so great guys.
So moving on from that,
the family.
Yes. So you've been selling stuff on eBay through listings. You've been selling stuff through Facebook through your personal page. You've now got two team drivers, you've been to Funduro, you've been to SST, you've been to Shildon, you've now created the Gcrc family, which kind of takes the misfit family thing, but takes it with your own spin and level with people on a wider area as opposed to Misfits has been more sort of Northampton based.
So what did I say? So everybody was saying to me, look, Gareth, you can't carry on just selling your bits on eBay and through Facebook Messenger. So I accepted that we needed a format, but I just didn't. Who wants another shop post? Yeah. I don't want to be. I'm a fan of what parts Gareth sells. If I want that, I can join the Trail fans group or the Reefs fans group. It's out there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give something different. And what Misfits did for me, I wanted to do for the country, and that was about. And we've got members now that aren't UK based. But yeah, it was about that. We're a family unit. So what's that mean? It means, well, yeah, you're going to see promo videos of the stuff I sell, stock updates, but it's not about that. That's pride in what I sell and communicating because those people have got an interest in it. But it's more about showing off your builds, my team drivers showing off their builds, talking about, offering advice, sharing experiences. Who are we going crawling with that weekend? So anybody can put up a meet. Not a lot do, but you can say that GCRC goes to, because Sean's going, I'm going, the wife's going, whatever, to an event, and we'll share somebody else's event that we're going to. Other clubs can promote on our space. You can sell on our space. You can say, this is a great product, even though I don't sell it. I found this, I really like it. In the same way as we've always said, we'll offer the best advice. If somebody comes and says they want a servo but they can't afford reefs, we'll find them something and explain to them what they could buy that will meet their needs for the best for their budget.
Fantastic.
So that's what it's about. And then it's about, we were building these highly competitive rigs and there was no comp scene. There was SST, there was Fundura, there was gated events, but not a competition.
And this kind of rolls into the last sort of thing that I was going to ask you about is where are things going, which sort of rolls into the new competitions. And
we see this, and I say we because the team is just that. It is there's no I in team scenario. We talk about stuff all the time. So, other than the boss's boss, the missus that has the ultimate say, we share everything out. So that's why the next tent had to be orange. We'll come on to that. But no, with thought behind it, and my missus keeps me grounded.
Gina's amazing, and she's a great driver in her own right. If you look through my playlist, there's a thing going out with the Misfits, and both Gareth and Gina are out there and driving. They both feature in that video. They're both great drivers in their own right, and they've both got awesome rigs, and their rigs have gone on from there.
She is very demanding with her rig, though, in the fact that I put the carbon wheels on her, and they had to come off because she didn't like the balance. It wasn't for her. She knows exactly what she wants in her rig, so there's no, you're going to run these, no.
Cool.
Gina doesn't run reef servo because she's 4S. She wants power aplenty. So at the moment,
more speed, as Clarkson would say.
There isn't a 4S servo, so she runs one. In the same way, I would say if you, at this moment in time, because there will be changes, if you want a 4S capable servo, then go to Red Winches and buy a Holmes Hobby one. Give that advice to everybody. So that's what's in her rig. So she's a demanding driver. But to get back to where we were going with the family thing, it was going two ways in the fact that when we go to these events, the SSTs, all of that, you find little groups of people that have set chairs up by the cars and are wrenching. And I wanted to see that be more this encompassing family. So it's like when you go to my stall, you'll find corner scales there. So, weigh your rig, know your balance. Yeah, I might pick up a sale in balancing your rig, but really it's about know your vehicle. Yeah, and put some money in for the charity, because all these things that we do are charitable, be SST, Fund Euro, they're all charity linked. And then we go to places like Shildon, they're clubs that, there's costs to running that club. Yeah, so though it's not per se a charity, there's costs that we can help with. So I had this idea that, we've got the family, we've got the online family, why not take that to these events? So what I've been able to do this year is buy another marquee of, I think it's 4.5 by 3 metres, the same size as the shop, that will bolt on the sides, and that will be nothing about sales. That will have tables in there so you can shelter if it rains, chat about RC, wrench on a bench. It's a GCRC family space. It's not a sales space. It's
cool. So that's the family, and then moving on from that, you're now sponsoring some competitions this year.
So sponsoring and running. So SST will have a sponsored Class 2 event. So in my office I've got a massive wall chart with Post-it notes all over it of where we've got things secured and where we're planning things that we haven't released yet. So on the GCRC family you'll find our calendar, we're sharing stuff. But there's an early SST date, not the main one, where we'll be sponsoring and helping run the Class 2 competition and putting up trophies for that. But we're also running our own competition series.
Cool.
And because of insurances and what have you and facilities, we want people to attend these events and have public liability insurance, have toilets, have catering facilities. So we've aligned them to clubs. So we know Shildon well, so they're the first one we're going to in March. Hopefully it won't snow. So we'll run Class 1, 2 and 3 there in a day. That will allow us to run, I think it's 10 people for Class 1, 20 for Class 2, 10 for Class 3. 2 10-gated 6-minute courses. Now that doesn't sound a lot, but that absolutely fills a day, because we've timed it by the time you've done scrutineering, setting gates, everything. And still allow a club to function around you, because we're not taking over the facility, we're using the facility.
Cool. So that's the first one.
So to cover, I'll cover the other venue, but to cover the philosophy is, I'm paying for my team to go to that club, so I will pay the tickets for them to attend. But we're not competing, so we'll be paying for the tickets. I'm supplying the trophies. The GCRC is supplying the trophies. We'll supply some prizes. We're supplying the people that are going to run it along with the club. We'll take the gates with us, we'll take score sheets with us, every rig that's entered will get a class sticker to show that it's been certified. We'll check all the rigs, we've written the rules, which are very, very simplified so that it's accessible.
And to get people into it and actually think, well, actually, I've got a rig. Which is it? Is it Class 1, Class 2, Class 3? Oh, right, it's this. I can go and do that. I can go and take part.
So what happened? So GCRC have funded all of those things. And the team members are funding stuff as well. So, they'll pay their petrol to get there. They'll put themselves in a hotel overnight. Where we can't.
This is the mentality of reinvesting money into the hobby and to providing a service to others by creating these competitions for people to take part in, to improve their driving skill, to enjoy their rigs and to push things forward.
So a Saturday at Shildon costs £7, and then they are charging £3 to enter the competition for those, what is there, 40 places. And that money goes to the club.
Cool.
Yeah, but we're getting...
Which helps the club to run and them to move things forward for the club.
But we'll have the family tent there, so there's those people that don't want to comp can just go there, and then they can try the same lines as we've done in the comp when we've moved the gates to the next place, and run that. But also people can get serious about comping. And there's been lots of interest. Whenever you try a rule set, you'll never please everybody. But we've tried to make it, you know what? People that go into class 1 are serious about scale. We don't want to go into the whole scale points. So we've said it's going to be hard body, it's going to be servo on chassis. So not even Sorka's been that bold to say it's got to be hard body, but we've gone that way. But we've made class 3 basically pretty much anything goes. And we've said, you know what, dig's fairly common. Somebody that's got an SCX 10.3, it's got dig in it, why shouldn't they be allowed to enter in class 1 with a hard body on it? So we've said you can do that, but we've made dig, instead of a feature you can use, it's something that's got a penalty, like using a winch.
That's cool. That's cool. So the class 1, class 2, class 3, they're all but in the rules. That's all available through the Gcrc Family page. And
those rule sets, we're not, you can't copyright rules. You can call them intellectual property. But they're out there.
So you're making it available for everybody. So if somebody else wants to run to that rule set in some other country in the world, go for it.
So unlike others that are precious about them being intellectual property, it can only be run for our event, they're there. You can download them. You can use them as is. You can tailor as you want. You can just take them. They're yours. They're free to the family.
Cool.
Also, there's a scorecard that you can download. So if you've got, your tennis balls, some barbecue sticks, anything to lay out a course, you've got the rules and the score sheets to print off yourself to run your own little fun comp for your club.
Brilliant.
So people can get into it, people can practice what we're doing, people can build to our rules, but they're so simple. The idea being is we've compared them with the competition that's going to be held in Scotland, which we see as the pinnacle event in the UK, which is the ASRCC event up in Scotland, pro crawler led event. And our rules lead towards that. So their rules as a body's got to be this wide and this high and this and that, and we don't want people to have to do all of that. They want to be able to turn up with their rig and the rig will fit in A class.
Cool. So you've got the first one up at Shildon. Is the second one confirmed yet?
So they're Poly Apes, which is in Cobham in Surrey. Scout Run. It is a phenomenal scale course that they're building. It's a new club, but they've got acres of woodland and camping because it's actually a scout facility. So we're booked in and tickets are available for that event. And again, the money from the tickets goes to the scouting organisation that's running all that, not us.
So that's the second one.
That is the second one in our calendar, but might not be the second one.
Okay. So you've got others that are coming on board, possibly one at the BERCC, depending on what's happening.
One, maybe two, and there might be one, maybe two at Shildon. So we're looking at running
5, maybe 6 this year.
And we've got, on my calendar on the wall in there's actually 10. But that is ones we are running for other events. And ones we are running as part of the GCRC series.
Cool. So, I'm going to try and draw things together now. Where can people find you online?
So it's GCRC Family.
Okay.
And that's on Facebook and on Instagram.
Excellent. Come along there, say hello, and if you're looking for parts and stuff like that, we can do that. I'm going to intersperse in the coffee break in the middle. I'm going to go do a rig rundown of the rigs so we can see in the background here. I'm going to do a rundown of the parts we've got on the table here, and I'm going to splice that in the middle between these two sections. Thank you very much, Gareth, for taking time out of your busy day to sit down and actually chat with me. It's been really appreciated. Hopefully people will enjoy this, and leave us plenty of comments down in the comments section. I know you'll probably have a really good look through that and keep coming back to it. I know you've watched the Sean Baker video multiple times in the past, because that kind of introduced me.
I can talk for England, and you know,
yeah.
When you need advice, ring me with peril, because it'll take me a while to get off the phone, because I can chat.
Definitely. Well, thanks very much, and we'll catch everybody soon. And do a bit of a rig rundown. We'll start out with Minty 2 and Tango 2, which are FTX Outback Minis.
Or are they? Because one of them actually has the running gear in it out of the SCX 24.
Which we'll come on to in a minute.
Yeah, that's got full Fury Tech in it.
So these have been built up with parts and whatever, and to all the different scales. Then we've got
the other end of the scale, the new SCX6 Beast of the rig.
Which
love that. So scale and the way it runs.
Yeah, and you'll see there's some nice videos of that over on Tomley RC. So go and check out my brother Phil and his channel.
So you'll know that, or you've seen that I'm probably more about performance than scale, but I had to have something that was scale. So this is the nearest I've got so far. It's not got loose springs, so it's not a TF2, but it's a TF2 body on an RC four-wheel drive C2X, so the sprung version, with Gina driving it.
Cool. And that's been certified as Class 1. And you've got Dexter in the back, and that. And then this is also a Class 1 rig.
Yeah, so this is the G-Speed V1C1 metal chassis. So with an ACT system in it. That's what Minty morphed into.
Ah, and obviously I can see your colours at the back there.
Yeah.
So this is Gina's Class 2 rig.
Yeah, so this is a Pro Crawler V Max carbon chassis, the V2 one.
Mm-hmm.
And Vanquish 3 gear, and like I say, this is 4S capable Puller Pro.
Cool. And then your class
Trail axles.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. As are all of them.
Yeah.
This one is my Class 2, which I can't get the body off. There we are. So this is where I discovered Outrunners, winched up 777, Fox Belly low, and this was one of the original V1 Superfat Pro Crawler class chassis that came out.
Nice. What tyres are you running on that? Because are they the same ones, same tyres as on Gina's?
Yeah, so Gina's trenches on heavy wheels and mine are trenches on carbon wheels.
Yeah.
Gina's on portals, I'm on straight axles.
Cool.
Both of them run slightly wider at the front than at the back. The idea being that you're in control of the front, the back follows so you can get through a gate.
Okay, that makes sense. So this is a Class 3 rig.
Yeah, so again, all metal axles, Team Green knuckles custom made for me, the brass lower links, the flat belly from Vader, but this one's four-wheel steer and dig and with a winch. Holmes Hobbies Team Edition SS Outrunner, do like an Outrunner, and dig.
Very nice. So full Class 3 rig.
Yeah.
Now this is also a Class 3 rig, which is that a Capra base?
Yep, so this is Capra based, but it is flat bottom, trail housing, because this has stayed as a Capra gearbox, so that allows 9 tooth, raw 500, and that is stretched wheelbase, so you can see it's much longer than my other Capra.
Okay.
And on large tyres, that one.
Yep.
This is my four-wheel steer Capra.
Yep. Awesome. And I bet that took some doing to get it to do that, didn't it?
Actually, now they do them stock, but it's not actually that hard a conversion. It's just basically replicating the front on the back.
Oh, right, yep. Plastic drive shafts.
I'm a big fan of wild boars. So something like this, when you lengthen it, it's a plastic kit and you just cut them to length. So you can always have perfect length drive shafts. I run powerful motors and I've never broken one.
Excellent, excellent. Now, this thing weighs an absolute ton.
So this is a 3S capable SEX24 Furytech Outrunner, 7 kg micro servo by Reefs and fully treeled out. It's got metal axles, which are 70-75, all metal links, weighted diff covers, weighted brass knuckles, weighted extensions, and even brass wheels. So I think it's over half a kilo.
For something so small.
But 3S motor, it can hunk itself up a lot of stuff.
Yes, and should climb very well because of all the low down weight.
So near enough stock 6x6, just had the chassis tweaked a bit so it doesn't pop drive shafts. That will become a G-Speed eventually.
Right, yeah, because Sean runs a G-Speed 6x6, doesn't he?
I bought it for that, but it was just in such lovely condition that I don't want to ruin it. I want to experience it stock.
Yeah.
Then when I've beaten up, it'll become...
So what makes that class 3 then at this point? Because
you've got it, for our rules, it's because you've got into the extra axle.
Okay, cool. So another class 3 rig here.
That's my Bitzer, because it's a bit to this and a bit to that. So I bought a second-hand SCX 10.2.
Yeah.
So it's 10.2 axles, a Vader skid. Tim, before he was a team driver, sent me this chassis, said, here, try this out. Just, that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
So this is what I built out of it, Proline shocks. So it's more along the lines of a shafty build. So it's for that kind of capability.
A bit like my FTX Ravine, although obviously my FTX Ravine is a lot cheaper than that, but that's a similar angle of angle flex.
And probably equally as capable. It's not the most capable rigs, it was just to see what I could do.
And then the Basher.
Yeah, so Sean convinced me that I needed one in my life, and Tomley's done the review and quite rightly is saying it is so much car for the money to have a 6X rig for that. And all I've needed to do is put alloy hinge pins front and back because they're a weak spot, and I've obviously put in a very fast reef servo.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks very much.